Last week I had a great session with a coach, and one of the things that he asked me, we were discussing Prospero, was how do you track, what do you monitor with your product to know if it's successful or not? And I told him that we measure signups and we measure how many people convert to paid users and stuff like that. And he told me, I think you're making a mistake. I think that what you should be looking at is how many people stay with you over the long term and become repeat customers, and how many of those actually tell their friends about your product because it's so good. And so I thought about this and I said, okay, let's check this out. Let's check. What he was talking about is actually called retention rate, right? How long do people stay with you over time? And so I went into our dashboard and kind of looked around how many people sign up in May and then come back in June and then come back in July. And actually, the numbers were pretty depressing. It came down to something like 5% of the users who sign up keep using the product after 2 months. And so I was a bit down. It was the end of last week, and I was a bit down. Plus, my last video, I got some criticism regarding Prospero, which is okay. I love getting criticism. It's always a great way to learn. But you know, those two combined had my weekend I was pretty depressed over the weekend. But this morning, when I was going through, I was working with Intercom and Food Story, the two products I use to kind of learn and understand how people are using our product. I kind of had a very interesting insight, and I want to share that with you. So what I was thinking about was, how do you actually know if somebody who signed up, you know, it's really easy to sign up for a product, right? You don't need a credit card, just put your name down and boom, you're in. How do you know if people who signed up and they're just looking to check the product, you know, they were like, oh, maybe one day I'll need this, and they don't actually need this right now? How do you make the differentiation between those people who are actually just prospects, they didn't actually bought yet, and people who are actually engaged, tried the product, liked the product, actually got into the whole process of, you know, writing a proposal, sending the proposal to a client, got the value out of the product? How do you know the difference between them? For me, it was really hard because I didn't know what to track, right? Because they might send the proposal just to themselves just to test it, so I can't check out if they created a new proposal. It might be a dummy proposal. If they sent the proposal to a client, might be sending them to themselves. And then when I was working in Food Story, you know, where I can see the sessions of the users, I suddenly noticed that some people have really long sessions, right? Sessions that are one and a hour and a half long session, 2-hour session. Now, at first I was kind of surprised by this because my initial gut feeling about Prospero was that it's going to save you a lot of time and then your sessions will be short. But what I actually realized was that people who are actually heavy users of Prospero are actually staying in the product for a very long time. So they get the value out of, you know, the proposal looking great and being online and all of that stuff, but they're still spending hours to try to make it perfect, get the wording correctly, you know, get it beautiful. And so I was thinking, okay, so perhaps a good way to know if a user is really an active user, not just a prospect looking around, but actually using the product, is rank the users by people who spent at least 30 minutes writing the proposal. And once I did that, it was super easy to, you know, filter out the users in Food Story. Show me only the users who had a session more than 30 minutes. And then boom, I got a link of like 100 users. And then when I started looking at this group of users, that group of users was amazing. It's got like 25% of them converted into paid user. That's like, if you look at the general population, it's like maybe 2.5%, 4% of the users who sign up convert to paid users. But out of that specific group of engaged users, of active users, 25% of them are paid. Some of them are been using the product for like 5 months and like active for, you know, months on end. And so this is the actual group of core users who are really satisfied with the product and, you know, and love it. And so now that I have a definition of what is an active user, now I can really track that thing and see if I'm improving, if I get more people to become active over the long term, if I get to convert more of them to paid users. Now I really have the definition of you know, how to know if somebody is engaged with my product. And I think this is, for me, it's a huge breakthrough, because now I can really think about how to get people from being prospects into being really active users with a high chance of them to becoming paid users. So I'm super excited about this. Heading out to meet Ayal and discuss you know, the new version of Prospero. I will share this with him and brainstorm with him how we can get more people to become active and engaged. Alright, so overall today was a super awesome day because I learned something new and I had a new insight. I shared it with Ayal and we went over the analytics and actually discovered that around 90% of the revenue of Prospero is coming from those active users who spend something like 1 hour, at least in their first session, creating real proposals. So I think there's a lot of what to think about in terms of how to engage those people and how to, you know, engage other people who did not spend, you know, at least 1 hour on the product in order to turn them into active users. So I'm very happy with that. There's a lot of things that I can do with it and I feel it's a great progress. Hope you guys have a great day as well, and I'll catch you tomorrow.